Okay, lectures on God, part 3. What I've found the biggest formula to repentance is to also finding out how we can avoid these pitfalls in the future. And this is why Jesus gave us the Sermon on the Mount. These are step-by-step instructions of exactly how to live life. And again, all the answers to all of life's problems are given in these 3 chapters. Now, because it is a big steak, and a lot of people at times, if they take too big of a bite, they're going to choke. So what I'd like to do now is just break this steak down and kind of slice some pieces off of it, chew on it a little bit, and talk about why he's saying what he's saying. So we go to Matthew chapter 5, and we'll just start here in verse 1. And seeing the multitude, he went up into the mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, what do you think he's trying to say here by poor in spirit? When you look at rich people and you look at poor people, which one of those two would probably be a little bit more humble? And I think, at least in his day, he found that the poor people were the ones that had a little more humility because, rich people don't really have their hand out asking for anything. It's usually the poor. And so, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, rich or poor, are we not all beggars at God's table? Don't we all need something from God from time to time? And so, he's saying, blessed are the poor. So, it doesn't matter the money thing. It just matters if you have true humility and yours is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of tears. That's how the soul cleanses itself. So, those that mourn, blessed are those that mourn with them as well. Jesus was known to be one who cried with those who were in the midst of crying as well. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, look at the Amish, for example. I mean, hats off to these guys, but they seem to be the ones who, if the world collapsed around them, they wouldn't even know. Why? Because they are independent, they're set up, they've got a system to where there is no rich or poor among them. They're all just out there to help each other. I mean, these guys, when a new member comes up, the whole town gets together and they help them build a house. They help them with their barn. Now, are they going to be enslaved for 30 years because they literally, have a mortgage to pay? No. They just, with the next guy, they put their labors in. This is how it's designed, is, freedom, not slavery. And so, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. These are going to be the type of people, brothers, that will be the ones standing when all this is at the end. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Now, what happens again when your body, if you don't eat or drink for a while? Your body begins to die, it corrodes, and you'll go into the grave. So what happens if you don't feed your spirit? The same thing. What we're learning here in the Sermon on the Mount is food for our spirit. So Jesus is saying, blessed are the hungry, or blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. A story of Socrates. This young man comes up to Socrates one time and he says, I want you to teach me everything you know. And Socrates says, all right, come with me. So he takes him down into the water, brings him into water that, right up to his chest, and he points to the air and he says, look. And this young man looks up and Socrates grabs his head and dunks him underwater. And this young man's fighting for everything he can to get up out of this water. And Socrates keeps holding him down. And he's holding him down until this guy's about ready to drown. And right then, boom, he just lets him go and he springs out of the water with a big gasp of air. And Socrates says, when you want to know the knowledge as much as you wanted air, then come back and talk to me. And so I think that's what Jesus is saying. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. How much do you really want to know the truth? How hungry are you? If you're full, you're not going to be meek and humble, this and that. You got to be hungry to just go out there and start a revolution or do whatever. How much do you want the word? And he says, those who hunger will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And he gives parables on this of kings forgiving their servants. And the servants won't even forgive their own servants because of their lack of mercy. So when the king hears about it, he throws them in jail because they didn't show mercy to others. So Jesus basically saying, if you want mercy shown unto you, we'll show it to others. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Now, brothers and sisters, I can tell you that, I'm not the cleanest vessel on earth, but, I actually took this one to account, prayed to God, and asked Him to just see an image in a cloud. Whether it be that in your mind, whatever, but He promises us that the pure in heart shall see God. And, it's up to Andy to come down to Opie's level. So don't worry if you're going to burn to cinder if God shows up, because He's got to come to your level, because you can't go to His. And so the pure in heart shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Everyone needs that referee, because you got two guys that are going at each other. They got the pride, they got the testosterone kicking in. So you need to be that peacemaker. When you see violence happening, be that one to break that fight up and bring peace and bring Christ into the picture and show them these verses, because this is eternal life. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Blessed are those who are persecuted. I mean, don't be afraid to say that Jesus rules. Don't be afraid to stand up, because He says, those who confess me before man, I will confess them before my Father. And if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father. Why, if someone knocks on your door and he's a stranger and he asks, well, can I come in and hang out? Well, I don't know you. Who are you? Well, I'm your son. Well, from what grandson are you? You never come to visit. You never called. You never talked to me. And now you show up and you want to be a part of this kingdom? So that's what Christ is saying. If you're persecuted, that is a blessing, brother, because that is telling them that this is my home, this is where I'm going, and whether I'm there or whether I'm in the midst of hell, I'm going to praise and teach His word. So again, blessed are for they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely, for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of man. Now, what does salt do to food? It gives it that flavor. Gives it that extra zest. Now, there was a couple of parking tickets I didn't pay, and I got put in the joint one time. And, living in a place called Salt Lake, you would think they could put a little salt in the food. And I'll tell you, you don't appreciate it unless you don't actually have food with no salt. And it is just the most bland thing you'll ever taste. So again, your reward's great because you've taken these persecutions and you've you stood up for the prophets, and that's what makes you the salt of the earth, is because you're the one that adds flavor to your conversations. You're the one, when you're at the parties, when you invite Christ in, what does He say? Whenever two or more are gathered in my name, there am I also. And by bringing His word, you bring Him in as well. And that gives flavor to life. It gives flavor to everybody. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Now, Mardi Gras is a good example. I was watching these brothers out there when they make these big suits, and my gosh, they are letting their light shine. And again, when you get your cup filled and you get that glow going, it's going to come out in your countenance. So don't hide your candle under a bushel. You put it on a hill so it gives light to everything. It's amazing. You get a dark room and it just takes one little candle and the room's no longer dark. So that's how important it is to let your light shine, because, we are in a world of darkness, but not for long, because the coming is soon. Let your light shine before the men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You don't take no credit, because Jesus didn't take no credit. He gave all the glory to the Father. And this is how the energy works. When we give love and energy to God, He takes that energy and He amplifies it, magnifies it 1,000,000 times, and then He sends it back to us. That's why Jesus says, it wasn't my faith that healed you, it was your faith. You showed faith and hope in me, and that was enough to take that and put it right back to you after I amplified it. And so, let that light shine, brothers. Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven or earth pass, not one jot, nor tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till it all be fulfilled. He was the fulfillment of the law. He was the one that said, look, the law of Moses is done. I now bring the law of mercy. No longer are we going to go eye for an eye. We're now going to turn the other cheek. Because you're only going to be blind and toothless. Somebody's got to draw the line and forgive. And the better man is the one that can turn that other cheek. And so that's the law He brought, was to love your enemies, not just your friends. What is the profit of man if he just likes the people that like him? You already have your reward. But if you like those who don't necessarily like you, or the poor guys that can't necessarily pay you back, then you get your rewards in heaven. That's what it's all about. Heaven don't care how much you have. They only care about how much you gave. Now whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. Just turn on the TV and we're learning all kinds of ways to screw our lives up. So enough said on that. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. You want happiness, brothers? You want to feed these sheep? You do exactly what I'm doing right now to your friends and family. You take the words of God, you take the words of Christ, and you help others learn these words. Why? Because you're now opening a whole new universe to their world. And that is the greatest gift you can give a man, is eternal life and eternal happiness. And this is the formula to happiness, is the words of Christ. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, that thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. Now again, we'll get back to the scribes and Pharisees. In his time, these guys were masters of the law. These guys were lawyers. They were politicians that also ruled the church as well. Now Jesus, imagine a guy, standing up to, your church leaders and your, legal guardians or whatever, or government officials, and calling them hypocrites, calling them a den of vipers. Is that calling it cut and dry or what? So, no wonder why they wanted his blood, but, so he's saying, even if your righteousness doesn't exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into heaven. And so right in front of him, he's saying, you guys have got to be more righteous than your teachers, your leaders. Because if you're like them, you're not going to make it to heaven. So, imagine they, stirred the coals on that one. Now again, you've heard that it has been said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. Okay, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother, now it says here, without a cause, shall be in danger of the judgment. Now, I don't know if that's a correct translation or not, but I don't think that we should really find causes to be angry with anybody. I think we should look at everybody as though we're looking at God Himself, because until we do, we don't see their full potential. And people all have a sixth sense. They know if somebody's judging them. And so, he's just saying, angry, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother, without a cause, shall be in danger of judgment. And I guess, if he, does something really screwed up, then yeah, kick his butt. And so, whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, which in their language meant, I'll kill you, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So be careful what you say to your brothers. And your brothers go for friends, family, neighbors, strangers, everybody. Don't call them idiots. Don't call names. You're supposed to look at your brother and treat them the way you want to be treated. And it says again, if you do that, you'll be in danger of hellfire. So, you want to get out of hell free card? Be nice to people. Therefore, if thou bringest thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that we got to cut this one off. We're going to go for round 4 here in a sec.